In the stillness of night, when the world quiets and even the clocks seem to breathe slower, the human mind begins to wander. It drifts backward, over centuries and oceans, into the endless corridors of history where questions echo without answers. There is something strangely comforting in this drifting, an awareness that not everything needs to be known. In that half-awake state, when the veil between curiosity and dreaming grows thin, we are drawn to mysteries that have defied time itself. The unknown becomes a lullaby, and every unanswered question hums like a distant song. For as long as we have existed, we have tried to make sense of the world around us. We have written books, carved stones, built temples, and launched satellites, all in pursuit of understanding. Yet, no matter how much we discover, there remains a shadow just beyond the edge of comprehension. Scientists, historians, and explorers peer into that darkness with instruments and equations, but sometimes the answers do not come. Instead, they find riddles that grow deeper the longer they are studied, mysteries so intricate that they resist both faith and fact. These are not the stories of ghosts and myths, but of real artifacts, events, and places that continue to confuse even the brightest minds. Imagine standing on a quiet shore, waves lapping at your feet, while beneath the surface lie relics from civilizations long gone. Imagine old manuscripts filled with letters from no known language, machines that seem too advanced for their time, maps that show places no one should have known existed. These fragments whisper stories of forgotten knowledge, of brilliance lost to the erosion of time. They challenge the assumption that history moves neatly from ignorance to enlightenment. Instead, they hint at cycles of discovery and loss, where knowledge flickers like candlelight, bright for a moment before darkness returns. The tone of these stories is not one of fear, but of wonder. Each mystery is a thread connecting us to those who came before, to their dreams, their failures, their glimpses of something greater. The scientist peering through a microscope is not so different from the priest gazing at the stars. Both search for meaning in the vast unknown. And though science prides itself on reason, even the most disciplined minds sometimes encounter moments that feel like magic, moments when data fails, and all that remains is awe. It is in those moments that the human spirit feels both small and infinite, humbled by the vastness of what it cannot yet explain. History, too, has its silences. For every documented battle and recorded king, there are thousands of forgotten lives, lost inventions, and vanished words. The earth holds their memory, buried deep in layers of stone, hidden beneath ice, or scattered across deserts. Every discovery is a reminder of how much we have forgotten. The more we learn, the more we realize how much remains invisible. Perhaps that is why mysteries feel so soothing to us. They remind us that there are still corners of the universe untouched by certainty, places where imagination is still allowed to roam freely. Tonight, as you listen and drift toward sleep, think of this not as a search for truth, but as a quiet journey through wonder. We will walk together through time, softly, from one enigma to another. Machines that should not exist, scripts that cannot be read, cities that disappeared without a trace. Each story will unfold gently, like the turning of an old page, revealing a world where science meets silence and curiosity becomes comfort. Let your thoughts slow with the rhythm of these tales. Let them carry you beyond the boundaries of what is known, into that gentle realm where history becomes mystery. For in the end, the unknown is not our enemy. It is our oldest companion, waiting patiently in the dark, whispering secrets we are not yet ready to understand. And perhaps that is where peace is found, not in answers, but in the quiet beauty of the questions themselves. It began, as many discoveries do, not with intention, but with accident. In the spring of 1901, a group of sponge divers braved the calm, turquoise waters off the small Greek island of Antikythera. The sea was peaceful that day, its surface glass-like under the Mediterranean sun. When one of the divers descended, He expected only to find sponges clinging to the rocky seabed. Instead, he emerged with something ancient clutched in his trembling hands, a corroded statue, half consumed by time. Soon, more artifacts followed: bronze limbs, marble torsos, fragments of pottery, and then, among the wreckage of a long-sunken Roman ship, a strange lump of metal encrusted with barnacles. It looked insignificant at first, like a piece of debris. No one could have guessed that it would become one of the greatest archaeological enigmas of the modern world. When the artifact was brought to the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, it broke apart under careful examination. Inside the corrosion was a system of gears so intricate, so impossibly precise, that it stunned researchers. Tiny teeth, perfectly measured, meshed together in a way that suggested design and purpose. But this was not supposed to exist. The wreck itself dated to around 60 BCE, 2,000 years ago. The world, as we understood it, should not have known how to make machines like this. It was an anachronism, a whisper of knowledge that should have belonged to a far later age. Over the years, scientists and engineers would study the device again and again, each time uncovering new layers of wonder. X-rays revealed more gears hidden within, arranged in complex ratios. Some bore inscriptions in ancient Greek, numbers, symbols, and astronomical terms. Slowly, a realization dawned. This was no ornament or toy. It was a machine built to predict the movements of the heavens. It could track the cycles of the moon and sun, the timing of eclipses, the position of planets. In essence, it was an ancient computer, one capable of performing calculations of remarkable accuracy long before such technology should have existed. The mystery deepened. Who could have built such a thing? The craftsmanship hinted at mastery in mathematics, engineering, and astronomy. It was as if the mind behind it had glimpsed far into the future. Some speculated it must have been the work of a genius like Archimedes, perhaps lost when the Library of Alexandria burned. Others suggested it was the product of an unknown tradition of ancient engineers, their legacy erased by war or time. What haunted scientists most was not the device itself, but the absence of others like it. No blueprints, no mentions in surviving texts, no second examples. One flawless masterpiece, and then silence. In a world obsessed with progress, the Antikythera mechanism stands as a quiet contradiction. It suggests that the path of human knowledge is not a straight line, climbing ever upward, but a fragile spiral. Knowledge can advance and vanish, rediscovered only when the tides of history reveal it again. For centuries, we assumed our ancestors were simple dreamers, gazing up at the stars with awe but little understanding. Yet this machine tells another story, that they were thinkers, inventors, observers capable of translating the heavens into gears and motion. It is a humbling revelation. Even today, scientists admit they have not fully decoded its workings. Reconstructions and computer models get close, but there are missing pieces, gears lost to corrosion, inscriptions faded beyond recovery. Each discovery leads to new questions. Some modern engineers have said the mechanism is so complex it could have inspired the Renaissance clockmakers had it not been forgotten. Others argue it proves that much of ancient science has been erased, hidden beneath layers of time and myth. The truth lies somewhere between these extremes, balanced delicately like the gears themselves. Imagine for a moment the person who last touched it before it sank. Perhaps a sailor, carrying it aboard a merchant ship bound for Rome. Did he understand its purpose, or was it already a relic, something once precious but now mysterious even to its owners? The waves closed over it, sealing it away in darkness. For 2,000 years it slept in silence, guarded by salt and sand, waiting for divers who would not be born for centuries. It is almost poetic, knowledge lost, then rediscovered by accident, as if the past had decided to remind us of its brilliance in its own time. When you look at the mechanism today, displayed behind glass in Athens, it seems almost alive. The gears catch the light softly, and one can't help but imagine them turning once more, counting celestial cycles long past. It is not just a relic. It is a message from a forgotten mind, whispering that we have underestimated our ancestors. The Antikythera mechanism does not shout its mystery. It hums it gently, like the faint ticking of an unseen clock beneath the sea. And as scientists continue to study it, peering through layers of metal, reconstructing, guessing, dreaming, they are reminded of something profoundly human. For all our technology, we are still seekers. We are still listening for the rhythm of the cosmos, still chasing the patterns of stars through time. The mechanism, in its silence, invites us to wonder whether progress is truly new, or whether we are simply remembering something ancient that we once knew long ago, before the sea swallowed it whole. In a quiet library in Italy, hidden among dusty shelves and forgotten manuscripts, lies a book that refuses to yield its meaning. Its pages are thick and uneven, stained by age yet beautifully preserved. The ink still clings to the parchment, dark and deliberate. Drawn across those pages are plants that do not exist, constellations that seem unfamiliar, and human figures bathing in green pools beneath swirling stars. Around and between them, lines of text flow like a language, neat and rhythmic, but utterly unreadable. This is the Voynich manuscript, a codex so mysterious that for over 6 centuries it has resisted every attempt to be understood. It is believed to have been created sometime in the early 15th century, though no one can say for certain. Carbon dating places its vellum around that time, but who wrote it, where it came from, or why it was made remains hidden. The name Voynich comes not from its author, but from Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish book dealer who acquired it in 1912 from a Jesuit college near Rome. When he opened it for the first time, he must have felt both excitement and unease. Inside was a world that felt familiar in structure, but alien in content. A secret carefully designed to look like knowledge. Scholars, linguists, and cryptographers have spent decades trying to unlock the script. The characters seem purposeful, repeating in ways that suggest grammar, yet no known language matches its patterns. Some letters appear often, others rarely. Some words seem to obey linguistic rules, others break them completely. It feels like a code, but every known cipher system has failed to translate it. Even the codebreakers who cracked the Enigma machine during World War II tried, and failed to find a key. The mystery deepened with every analysis. Whatever this text was, it followed rules of its own making. The illustrations should have helped, but they only made the riddle stranger. Many pages show detailed drawings of plants, roots, stems, blossoms, yet none match any species on Earth. Some look almost plausible, as if they might have existed in another time or place, while others appear like dreams, combinations of familiar shapes blended into something new. There are astronomical diagrams, too, filled with circles, stars, and strange zodiac signs. Naked women appear in pools connected by tubes and channels, surrounded by stars or flowers, their expression serene. The manuscript seems to touch on themes of nature, medicine, and the cosmos, but in a way that defies comprehension. Some researchers have suggested that it is a pharmacopoeia, a kind of medieval guide to healing plants, written in a lost language or a constructed one. Others believe it is an elaborate hoax, created to fool wealthy collectors into paying for a secret that never existed. Yet the structure of the text seems too consistent for mere nonsense. Statistical studies show that its words follow the mathematical rhythms of genuine language. Letters group together predictably, phrases repeat, and sentence-like formations appear throughout. It behaves like meaning, without offering any. Over time, theories have grown as varied as the pages themselves. Some claim it may have been written by Leonardo da Vinci in code, others that it came from a lost sect of alchemists, or even an alien civilization. More recently, artificial intelligence and machine learning have been applied to its patterns, but even computers have found only glimpses of order. One algorithm suggested the text could be a form of shorthand Hebrew. Another thought it might be a mixture of several languages written phonetically. None of these explanations hold for long. Each time a solution seems close, it dissolves again like mist when touched. There is something haunting in the idea that someone, centuries ago, sat by candlelight and wrote page after page in this language of shadows. Were they recording knowledge too dangerous to share? Was it meant to protect sacred secrets? Or was it a personal meditation known only to its author? Some imagine a lonely scholar inventing a language to preserve ideas he could not express any other way. Others see it as art, an act of creation meant not to communicate, but to mesmerize. Perhaps its beauty lies not in the meaning it hides, but in the silence it preserves. Even scientists, who are trained to look for evidence and proof, admit that the Voynich manuscript holds a strange power. To stare at its pages is to feel both curiosity and calm. The looping letters and gentle illustrations have a hypnotic quality. You can almost feel the hum of time in the parchment, the pulse of a mind long vanished. Every reader, whether scholar or dreamer, becomes part of its history simply by looking. The manuscript does not fight to be understood. It invites us to wonder. Maybe that is its purpose. In a world where everything can be translated, decoded, or explained, the Voynich manuscript remains defiantly silent. It is a reminder that not all human effort must lead to comprehension. Some creations are meant to live in the twilight between sense and mystery. Like a melody without lyrics, its beauty lies in suggestion, in the feeling that it could mean everything or nothing at all. And so it rests, locked behind glass in Yale University's Voynich library, its secrets still intact. Scholars continue to visit, tracing its letters with their eyes, hoping for that moment of recognition that never comes. It has survived centuries of wars, fires, and theft, untouched by understanding. In its strange script lies an echo of all human curiosity, our longing to reach beyond what we can know. The Voynich manuscript is not just a riddle written on parchment. It is a mirror of the human mind itself, endlessly searching for patterns in the dark. Perhaps, in the end, its mystery is its meaning. The comfort it offers is not in the promise of answers, but in the soft reminder that some knowledge is meant to remain in shadow. For as long as the Voynich manuscript exists, the world will always have one secret it cannot explain, and maybe, deep down, that is exactly how it should be. In the heat of the Mesopotamian sun, the land glows in shades of gold and dust. Beneath this ancient earth, once crossed by the great rivers Tigris and Euphrates, lie fragments of civilizations that shaped the earliest chapters of human history. Among the clay tablets and pottery shards, archaeologists once unearthed something small, so small that at first it seemed unremarkable. It was a simple clay jar, only a few inches tall, with a copper cylinder fitted inside and an iron rod at its center. When these jars were examined more closely, their mystery began to unfold. Together, they came to be known as the Baghdad batteries, objects that have since puzzled scientists, historians, and dreamers alike. The discovery was made in the 1930s near Baghdad, at a site called Kujut Rabu. The archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig was the first to suggest that these jars, which dated back more than 2,000 years, might have once generated electricity. The idea seemed impossible, almost absurd. How could an ancient people, centuries before the birth of modern science, have understood something as sophisticated as electric current? Yet, the components were undeniably there. A clay vessel, a metal cylinder, an iron rod, and traces of acidic residue, perhaps from vinegar or lemon juice. When reconstructed and filled with an acid, these jars could indeed produce a small but measurable electrical charge. If this interpretation were true, it would mean that someone in the ancient world had stumbled upon the principles of electrochemistry long before the concept had a name. But the question that haunts the mind is, why? What would a civilization 2 millennia ago have needed electricity for? No evidence of wires, bulbs, or electric devices has ever been found in conjunction with the jars. The theories that followed are as varied as they are fascinating. Some suggested that the batteries were used in religious rituals to shock or awe believers with divine sparks. Others propose that they were employed for electroplating, coating objects with thin layers of gold or silver, an art known to have existed in other cultures. There are even those who suggest that the electricity might have been symbolic rather than practical, a discovery that was observed, understood, and perhaps revered as a natural wonder. Ancient peoples often treated mysterious forces as sacred. Lightning was the weapon of gods, fire a gift from the heavens. Could it be that these jars, producing faint, glowing sparks, were once seen as vessels of divine energy? It's a poetic thought that what we now call science might once have been seen as a miracle, its laws not yet separated from the language of faith. Skeptics, of course, have offered more grounded explanations. They argue that the jars were merely storage vessels, perhaps used to hold scrolls or sacred documents, or even to preserve papyrus and bitumen. The corrosion found inside could have formed naturally over centuries. From this perspective, the battery interpretation is merely a modern projection, born from our own fascination with technology. Yet, even skeptics admit that the theory refuses to fade. The fit of the parts, the residues, and the curious precision of the construction all seem to whisper of intentional design. To imagine such a possibility is to open a door into a deeper mystery. That human understanding may not follow a simple upward climb, but a series of forgotten peaks and valleys. What if knowledge of electricity was not first discovered in the 18th century, but rediscovered? What if the ancients knew, if only for a brief moment, how to capture the invisible power that moves through the world? Perhaps that knowledge was never written down, lost in wars, floods, or the slow erosion of time. Civilization rises and falls, but curiosity endures. In the quiet halls of the Baghdad Museum, replicas of these jars once sat under soft light, labeled cautiously, Parthian vessels. They look simple, humble even, but beneath that simplicity lies the suggestion of brilliance. When scientists today connect wires to the replicas and pour in acid, the needles of their instruments twitch. A faint current flows. It is not enough to light a bulb or power a machine, but it is enough to stir wonder. Somewhere between function and myth, these jars hold their ground. Imagine an ancient craftsman carefully fitting copper into clay, sealing the rim with pitch. Perhaps he did not know the word for electricity, yet he knew the thrill of watching something unseen come alive. Perhaps he smiled when the spark appeared, or maybe he bowed in reverence. He would not have understood the physics, but he would have understood the feeling, that quiet awe that still lives in us when we watch lightning strike or see the northern lights shimmer in the sky. What makes the Baghdad Battery so captivating is not just its mystery, but the humility it inspires. It reminds us that the past is not made up of ignorance, waiting to be corrected by modern wisdom. It is a vast, intricate field of knowledge, some of which we have lost, some we have rediscovered, and some we have yet to understand. The boundary between superstition and science is thinner than we often admit. Even now, no consensus exists. Some researchers still try to replicate the experiment, testing new liquids, measuring outputs. Others search for similar artifacts that might support the idea of ancient electricity. But the silence of history offers no answer. The jars remain what they have always been, objects that hum quietly with potential, both literal and symbolic. As the day fades over the Mesopotamian plains, the air cools and the ruins darken. Somewhere beneath the sand, perhaps more of these vessels lie buried, waiting for another hand to find them. Whether they were batteries, ritual objects, or something entirely unknown, their mystery continues to flicker across time. Like a faint current connecting past and present, it reminds us that the human urge to understand the unseen has always been there, glowing softly in the dark. Across time's long corridors, certain patterns begin to emerge, subtle and hauntingly familiar. It starts as a whisper, a sense that history, for all its chaos and change, moves in circles rather than lines. Each era, each civilization, seems to rediscover something the last had already touched. The same questions echo through centuries. How did they build this? Why do they know that? Where did this knowledge go? Between the Antikythera mechanism, the indecipherable Voynich manuscript, and the enigmatic Baghdad battery, a quiet thread connects them all, a suggestion that humanity's brilliance does not simply grow, but fades and blooms again like light on a turning wheel. The thought itself carries a strange comfort. We like to imagine progress as a staircase, each generation climbing higher, building upon the certainty of the last. But perhaps progress is not so orderly. Perhaps it is more like the tide, advancing, retreating, leaving traces behind for someone else to find long after. The lost gears, the unreadable symbols, the forgotten sparks of power, all of them are fragments of that rhythm, the memory of what once was. When we study these mysteries, we are not merely looking backward, we are listening. The past hums faintly beneath the surface of the present, and sometimes, if we are quiet enough, we can almost hear it. Think of the hands that carved the Antikythera's gears, or the mind that wrote the Voynich manuscript in symbols only it could understand. Think of the craftsmen who sealed copper inside clay in the heat of an ancient Mesopotamian day. None of them could have known that their work would one day lie beneath dust and sea, waiting for a world of telescopes and computers to rediscover them. Yet here we are, piecing together their secrets with our own fragile tools, just as they once pieced together theirs. There is a symmetry to it, as though history itself breathes in and out. It raises an unsettling question. How much of what we call discovery is actually rediscovery? How many truths have we already learned and forgotten, buried beneath wars, fires, or the silent indifference of time? The Library of Alexandria burned, and with it vanished scrolls that may have contained entire worlds of understanding. Empires collapsed, and with them went languages, sciences, and stories. Each loss leaves a gap in the fabric of memory, and into those gaps, mystery quietly settles. It is no wonder that what remains confuses us. We're trying to read a history written in fragments, where every other line has been erased. And yet, there is beauty in that incompleteness. The unknown gives shape to imagination. The missing pieces make us dream. A perfectly understood world would be silent and still, but mystery keeps it alive, humming softly in the background of human thought. Scientists and historians seek certainty, but perhaps the purpose of these enigmas is not to be solved completely. Perhaps they exist to remind us of humility, to show us that even in our age of satellites and algorithms, there are things we cannot yet comprehend. As we move from one mystery to the next, this pattern, this echo of lost knowledge, follows us. Each artifact is a voice from the dark, whispering that the human mind has always been capable of wonder. The Antikythera mechanism speaks of cosmic precision. The Voynich manuscript murmurs of languages that dance beyond reason. The Baghdad battery flickers with forgotten power. They are not isolated curiosities. They are memories of the same impulse, to understand, to connect, to control the invisible forces that surround us. There is something deeply human in this cycle of discovery and loss. We build, we forget, and we build again. Our towers crumble, our books fade, our machines rust, but curiosity endures. It passes silently from one age to the next, carried in stories, in whispers, in the faint spark that drives us to look at the stars and wonder what lies beyond. When a scientist leans over an ancient mechanism or a linguist pores over faded ink, they are not just studying history, they are continuing it. They are part of the same long, unbroken search for meaning. So let this moment between mysteries be a breath, a pause in the journey. Picture the long chain of human hands, stretching backward through millennia, each holding a fragment of light. The light dims, is lost, then rekindled again by someone who never knew the first flame existed. Knowledge is not linear. It is inherited, forgotten, and reborn. Like the stars above the sea where the Antikythera was found, it flickers in and out of sight, constant yet elusive. As the tide of time moves on, we prepare to follow it to new shores, to more questions, more silences, more ancient puzzles waiting beneath dust and shadow. The echo of lost knowledge calls us onward. It reminds us that even in forgetting, humanity never truly stops learning. What has been hidden can always be found again, and in that endless cycle of mystery and rediscovery lies the quiet heartbeat of our shared story. In the year 1513, on a table lit by flickering lamplight, an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis unfurled a map unlike any other. Its parchment was made from gazelle skin, smooth and pale, its lines drawn with care and precision. Across its surface, the known world stretched in graceful curves. Europe, Africa, the Americas, shapes that seemed astonishingly accurate for their time. But it was what lay near the bottom of the map that would ignite centuries of fascination. There, faintly drawn in ink and color, was a coastline resembling Antarctica, an entire continent that should have been unknown, uncharted, and frozen beyond reach for another 300 years. When the Piri Reis map was rediscovered in 1929 in Istanbul's Topkapi Palace, historians were astonished. The script was Ottoman Turkish, accompanied by notes written in the admiral's hand. He explained that the map had been compiled from about 20 older charts, some dating back to the time of Alexander the Great. These ancient sources, he claimed, had guided his creation. But there was a problem. The level of geographic accuracy in some portions, especially the depiction of South America's eastern coast, was far beyond anything possible with 16th century tools. And even more puzzling was the southern landmass that resembled Antarctica, not covered in ice, but drawn with a detailed, ice-free shoreline. Scientists and cartographers began to debate. How could this be? Antarctica was not even discovered until 1820. Some suggested that Piri Reis might have accidentally extended South America too far, his imagination or poor sources leading him astray. Others looked more closely and realized the coastlines did not match those of South America at all. They aligned, astonishingly, with the actual subglacial contours of Antarctica, as revealed by modern seismic surveys. That meant whoever first mapped this land had seen it before it was buried under ice, perhaps thousands of years ago. Was it possible that some ancient civilization had once charted the world with precision we could only match in the modern era? Such an idea feels almost impossible, yet the map seems to whisper of that possibility. Some theorists have speculated that it was based on knowledge passed down from forgotten maritime culture, one that had explored the globe long before recorded history. Others turn to the legends of Atlantis, suggesting that remnants of that mythical society's maps survived through Egyptian or Greek intermediaries. For skeptics, of course, these ideas drift too far into fantasy. They argue that coincidences and misinterpretations can easily create illusions of accuracy, that the resemblance to Antarctica's true form may be nothing more than chance. Still, something about the Piri Reis map refuses to be dismissed. It exists undeniably. Its detail, its handwriting, its mixture of known and unknown, all hold together too elegantly to be an accident. And Piri Reis himself was no fool. He was a skilled navigator and scholar who served in the Ottoman Navy and drew from the best information available in his time. His notes mention using charts captured from Columbus, some of the earliest European depictions of a new world. But Columbus himself had spoken of older maps, given to him by sailors who claimed to have knowledge of lands across the sea. Each link in this chain draws the mind further into the mist of lost knowledge. Imagine, for a moment, the ancient cartographer whose work may have inspired this map. A person standing on the deck of a ship, gazing at unfamiliar shores, sketching coastlines by hand. No satellites, no compasses as we know them, only stars and instinct. What kind of world must they have lived in to know the globe as if they had seen it from above? Could they have possessed tools or methods long forgotten? Or was their knowledge born from centuries of observation, slowly refined and passed down? The Piri Reis map, with its elegant curves and annotated margins, embodies a paradox. It is both scientific and mysterious, an artifact that feels centuries ahead of its time, yet deeply rooted in the culture of its own. The map bridges the rational and the unknown. It speaks of exploration, trade, curiosity, and perhaps something more, a collective memory of Earth itself, carried forward through civilizations that refused to let knowledge die completely. In its faded inks and delicate lines, the map carries the spirit of its maker. Piri Reis, later imprisoned and executed by his own sultan, may never have known that his map would outlive empires. He likely drew it as a tool for navigation, yet it became a relic of the unexplained. His own notes seem almost humble. He admitted that parts were uncertain, copied from sources older than he could comprehend. These maps, he wrote, were made in the days of Alexander, Lord of the Two Horns. Whether poetic or literal, his words reach across time like a quiet confession that the knowledge he held was not entirely his own. Today, when scientists overlay the Piri Reis map onto modern projections of the Earth, the fit is uncanny in certain regions. Others remain distorted, as if the ancient world and ours refuse to align perfectly. Perhaps that is fitting. The past rarely mirrors the present exactly. Between the lines of the map lies a deeper truth. That knowledge drifts through history like a current, changing shape, resurfacing when we least expect it. As night deepens, picture that old map stretched across a wooden table, its corners held down by stones, its ink glinting under candlelight. The admiral's hand moves slowly, tracing coastlines from memory and myth, guided by fragments of a forgotten science. Outside, the sea murmurs softly against the walls of Istanbul. Centuries later, the same sea still carries its secrets, and we are still listening. The Piri Reis map remains, not just as a piece of parchment, but as an echo of something larger, a reminder that the edges of our knowledge are never truly fixed, and that even the most precise lines on a map can blur into mystery when viewed through the lens of time. In the remote highlands of Bolivia and southern Peru, among windswept plains and silent stone ruins, lies a riddle carved in megalith. It is called Puma Punku, a place whose very name, in the Aymara language, means the door of the puma. To the casual visitor, it appears as an assortment of immense stone blocks scattered across a barren plateau near the ruins of Tiwanaku. Yet to those who study it, Puma Punku is more than a ruin. It is a whisper from a forgotten age, a monument whose precision and mystery continue to unsettle archaeologists, engineers, and dreamers alike. At first glance, the stones seem impossibly crafted. Each block, some weighing over 100 tons, has been cut and shaped with such perfection that even a razor blade cannot fit between their joints. The corners are crisp, the edges sharp, the surfaces so smooth they resemble the finish of machined metal rather than hand-carved stone. Most astonishing are the H-shaped blocks, repeating modular pieces that interlock as if designed according to a complex geometric blueprint. For centuries, wind and time have eroded these stones, yet the precision remains, defying both decay and explanation. Mainstream archaeology attributes Puma Punku to the Tiwanaku civilization, which flourished around 500 to 1000 CE. They were master stonemasons and engineers, constructing temples, monoliths, and vast irrigation systems that sustained life in the high Andes. But even with that recognition, the puzzle deepens. The tools available to the Tiwanaku people were simple: hammerstones, chisels, and perhaps copper instruments. How, then, could they have carved and fitted stones of diorite and andesite, materials harder than the metal they possessed, with such uncanny precision? For decades, scholars and skeptics have debated this point. Some propose that the builders used advanced yet forgotten techniques: abrasive sand, wooden drills with quartz tips, or slow, meticulous polishing over generations. Others, however, look at the scale and accuracy of the construction and wonder if something more enigmatic was at work. Ancient astronaut theorists and alternative historians, though often controversial, argue that Puma Punku may preserve evidence of technology far beyond what the Tiwanaku, are thought to have possessed, perhaps remnants of a civilization lost to time, one whose understanding of engineering exceeded even our own. Walking among the scattered stones, it's easy to feel the strange gravity of this place. The wind carries a low hum across the plain, and the shadows of distant mountains stretch across the earth like slow-moving tides. Each block seems deliberate, as if positioned not just for function, but for meaning. Some align with celestial events, the solstices and equinoxes marked by the movement of light and shadow through ancient doorways. Others appear designed to channel water, perhaps part of a ritual or technological system long erased by centuries of silence. What is known is that Puma Punku was once part of a grand ceremonial complex. It connected to Tiwanaku, a city that may have been both political capital and spiritual center. The people who built it had a deep relationship with the cosmos. They watched the stars, tracked the sun, and encoded celestial patterns into their architecture. The Temple of Kalasasaya nearby, with its precise astronomical alignments, hints at a worldview in which stone and sky were inseparable. Puma Punku, in this context, may not have been merely a temple, but a cosmic gate, a place where heaven and earth met in ritual harmony. When Spanish chroniclers arrived in the Andes centuries later, they were told stories of gods who had built these structures in a single night, using sound or light to move the stones through the air. The local Aymara people spoke of Viracocha, the great creator deity who brought civilization to the region before vanishing across the Pacific. Some believe that Puma Punku was the place where Viracocha began his creation, shaping the first humans from stone. The myth and the site mirror each other, both silent, both filled with the sense of something vast and unrecorded. Modern researchers have tried to reconstruct how such immense stones could have been transported. The nearest quarries are miles away, across rugged terrain. There were no wheels, no beasts of burden strong enough for the task. Yet somehow, these blocks were not only moved, but lifted, stacked, and aligned with an accuracy measured in millimeters. Was it sheer determination and ingenuity that accomplished this? Or did the Tiwanaku inherit a method from an earlier, now-vanished culture? To look at the stones closely is to see more than construction. It is to see intention. The patterns repeat, the measurements correspond to complex ratios. The design seems modular, as if the builders were following a precise architectural system. One can almost imagine them with tools now lost, devices that cut, measured, and shaped stone with ease. But those tools have never been found, leaving behind only speculation and awe. And perhaps that is what gives Puma Punku its timeless magnetism. It stands at the border between what we know and what we can only sense. It is a structure born of human hands, yet touched by something larger, whether divine inspiration, forgotten technology, or the sheer will of a civilization reaching beyond its means. The more we study it, the less certain we become. Each answer opens a new question, and the silence of the Altiplano offers no reply. As twilight falls, the stones take on a different life. The air cools, the horizon glows faintly, and the outlines of the blocks cast long shadows across the earth. It feels, for a moment, as if time folds inward, as though the builders might still be here, their chants carried softly by the wind. You can almost hear the rhythm of chisels, the murmur of ancient language, the heartbeat of a people whose understanding of the world was both grounded and transcendent. Perhaps the true mystery of Puma Punku is not how it was built, but why. Was it meant to endure as a message, a testament, or a doorway? Each stone remains a fragment of a larger story we cannot yet read. And like so many enigmas of the past, it reminds us that our ancestors may have known far more than we give them credit for. That wisdom, once lost, leaves behind traces strong enough to withstand millennia. In the quiet stillness of the Andean night, Puma Punku continues to whisper. Its stones speak of precision, of faith, of forgotten knowledge. And though we may never fully understand their purpose, we can still stand among them and feel what countless generations before us must have felt that humbling mixture of wonder and reverence that comes when you stand at the threshold of the unknown. Deep within the endless sweep of the Egyptian desert, beyond the noise of modern life and far from the Nile's green lifeline, rise the pyramids of Giza, vast, timeless, and impossibly perfect. They stand not only as monuments of stone, but as riddles wrapped in silence. For thousands of years, these immense structures have watched the sun rise and set, their edges aligned with mathematical precision, their interiors guarded by corridors that defy simple logic. The Great Pyramid of Khufu, in particular, has stirred wonder for millennia. Even today, in the age of satellites and supercomputers, we still do not fully understand how it was built, or why its design reflects a knowledge seemingly beyond its age. To stand before the Great Pyramid is to feel the weight of time itself pressing against the air. Over 2 million limestone blocks, some weighing as much as 80 tons, were lifted and placed with a precision so exact that the entire structure deviates from perfect alignment with true north by less than 1/20th of a degree. No mortar binds these stones, yet they have endured earthquakes, wind, and the slow breath of 4,500 years. Every block seems intentional, part of a geometry that speaks in silence. It is as though the builders were not merely constructing a tomb, but performing a ritual of order, an act meant to anchor the heavens to the earth. Mainstream Egyptology tells us that the pyramids were royal tombs, built during the 4th dynasty under the command of powerful pharaohs who marshaled tens of thousands of laborers, artisans, and engineers. The explanation is logical, supported by archaeological evidence: workers' villages, tools, quarries, inscriptions. Yet beneath the surface of that certainty lies another layer of intrigue. For the more closely one studies the Great Pyramid, the more it seems to encode knowledge that extends far beyond funerary function. Its proportions correspond to planetary measurements, its layout mirrors the stars of Orion's belt, and its chambers align with cosmic pathways as if the pyramid itself were a kind of astronomical instrument. The ancient Egyptians believed deeply in the harmony between heaven and earth. The pharaoh, as divine intermediary, was the bridge between mortal and celestial realms. Some scholars believe the Great Pyramid was designed as a resurrection machine, a structure meant to guide the soul of the king toward the imperishable stars of the northern sky. Others suggest it served as a vast calendar, marking equinoxes and solstices with shafts of sunlight that pierced its inner passages at precise moments. These interpretations blend science and spirit, revealing a worldview in which mathematics and mysticism were inseparable. Yet the deeper mystery lies in the how. How could a Bronze Age society, armed only with copper tools and rope, achieve such perfection? Experiments have shown that the quarrying and transport of even a fraction of those stones would require immense coordination and mechanical understanding. The slope of the pyramid's sides forms an angle that perfectly encodes the ratio of the circle's circumference to its diameter, pi itself, written into stone. The base perimeter divided by twice the height equals 3. 1416, accurate to the thousandth. Was this coincidence or deliberate design? For centuries, scholars and explorers have wrestled with this question. Herodotus wrote of the pyramids as marvels of mysterious construction. In the 19th century, European archaeologists and mystics proposed that the Great Pyramid contained secret chambers or encoded messages left by a lost civilization. In the 20th century, some suggested that the pyramid was built using unknown forms of energy or sound resonance, a theory that continues to spark debate among fringe researchers. The truth, however, remains stubbornly hidden behind stone and time. Inside the pyramid, the air feels thick and timeless. Narrow corridors ascend and descend, opening into chambers that echo faintly with each breath. The Grand Gallery, with its sloping ceiling and tiered stone walls, seems almost designed to amplify sound. Standing there, one can feel the structure's pulse, as if it is alive in some ancient, quiet way. The king's chamber, built from immense granite blocks hauled from Aswan, hundreds of miles away, remains one of the most perfectly balanced rooms on Earth. The stones fit so precisely that not even a piece of paper can slip between them. Recently, modern technology has revealed new layers of the enigma. In 2017, scientists using cosmic ray scanning detected a large hidden void above the Grand Gallery, a space unseen by human eyes for more than 4,000 years. Its purpose remains unknown. Was it a structural feature, a secret chamber, or something symbolic, a void meant to mirror the heavens? Even now, the Great Pyramid guards its secrets with quiet dignity, offering hints but no answers. Some researchers have gone further, suggesting that the pyramid's alignment with the stars was no accident. The three pyramids of Giza mirror the three stars of Orion's belt, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka, precisely as they appeared in the sky around 10,500 BCE, long before Egypt's recognized dynastic history began. If true, this raises unsettling possibilities. Were the builders drawing upon knowledge inherited from a civilization far older than Egypt itself? Could there have been an earlier epoch of advanced understanding, lost to time, but preserved through sacred architecture? Standing at the edge of the Giza Plateau at dusk, one begins to feel that such questions are not just historical, they are existential. The pyramids seem to exist outside time, as if they were carved from eternity itself. The desert wind moves softly across the stone, whispering over hieroglyphs worn smooth by ages. Above, the stars burn in cold silence, the same stars the ancient priests once read as divine text. Between them and the earth stands this perfect geometry, a conversation between the finite and the infinite. The Great Pyramid, whether tomb or temple, instrument or enigma, remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of human civilization. Its builders are gone, their voices long vanished, but their work still speaks in the universal language of proportion and balance. Each measurement, each alignment, seems to say that they understood something fundamental about the relationship between matter and spirit, chaos and order. Perhaps the true message of the pyramid is not hidden within its stones at all, but in its endurance, its quiet defiance of time. As night deepens, the structure changes character. Its edges blur beneath the moonlight, and it no longer looks like a monument, but a shadow of something larger, a memory carved into the earth itself. The hum of distant Cairo fades, replaced by the wind's low murmur. In that silence, one feels the pulse of an ancient dream still alive beneath the sand. The pyramids remain steadfast and solemn, keeping secrets that outlast kings, empires, and even civilizations. And so, like many before us, we look upon them not merely with curiosity, but with reverence. They are both fact and mystery, light and shadow, proof and question. The Great Pyramid stands as a reminder that the past was not simple, and that perhaps, in some forgotten corner of time, humanity reached a peak of understanding it has yet to reclaim. On a windswept island in the heart of the Atlantic, where the line between myth and memory blurs, there lies a riddle that has puzzled minds for centuries. Oak Island, a small patch of forested land off the coast of Nova Scotia, is home to one of the most persistent mysteries in recorded history, a buried secret known simply as the Money Pit. To this day, no one knows what lies at the bottom. What began as the curiosity of a few young men in the late 18th century has become a centuries-long quest that has consumed fortunes, claimed lives, and sparked endless speculation. Some say it hides pirate gold. Others whisper of lost manuscripts, sacred relics, or even the Holy Grail. Yet the deeper explorers dig, the more the island itself seems to resist their search, guarding its secret with cleverness and malice that feel almost alive. The story begins in 1795, when a young man named Daniel McGinnis discovered a strange circular depression in the ground. Above it hung the remnants of a block and tackle, signs that someone had dug there before. Driven by curiosity, McGinnis and his friends began to excavate. Only a few feet down, they found a layer of flagstones. Then, at 10-foot intervals, they encountered layers of wooden planks, oak logs carefully laid across the shaft. It was as though the ground had been deliberately engineered to conceal something deep below. By the time they reached 30 feet, their excitement grew. Surely, they thought, this must be the entrance to a hidden treasure. But Oak Island's mystery is not that simple. At 90 feet down, a later excavation uncovered a flat stone carved with strange symbols that have never been definitively decoded. Some claim the inscription read, 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. Yet when the diggers descended further, the pit suddenly flooded, filling with seawater from hidden channels that seemed to connect directly to the ocean. The treasure was lost again beneath a trap no one had anticipated. Over the next 2 centuries, countless attempts were made to drain the pit, to tunnel around it, to outsmart whatever ancient engineers had built this impossible contraption. Each effort ended the same way, in collapse, in flood, or in tragedy. Some explorers died in the process, victims of gas, drowning, or cave-ins. The island gained a reputation as cursed, as though it demanded payment for every secret revealed. And still, the allure remained irresistible. Engineers, historians, and treasure hunters alike have tried to solve its puzzle, each convinced that they might be the ones to finally reach the bottom. The sheer complexity of the structure continues to astonish researchers. Beneath the surface, intricate flood tunnels radiate outward from the pit, lined with coconut fiber, a material not native to Nova Scotia. These tunnels seem designed to protect whatever lies buried below, filling the shaft with water whenever it is breached. Such engineering sophistication suggests planning and resources far beyond that of casual pirates. Whoever built the system possessed advanced knowledge of hydrology and construction, as well as an apparent desire to ensure the treasure, or secret, would remain hidden indefinitely. Theories abound, each more compelling than the last. Some believe it was the work of Captain Kidd or Blackbeard, who were rumored to have hidden their plunder before their capture. Others suggest that the Knights Templar, fleeing persecution in the 14th century, may have brought their most sacred relics to the New World, perhaps even the Ark of the Covenant or the Holy Grail, and buried them on Oak Island beneath ingenious defenses. A few point to evidence that Francis Bacon or other members of secret societies might have hidden manuscripts, including lost works of Shakespeare, within the pit. There are even those who think the pit was never about treasure at all, but a message, a test, a riddle meant to preserve knowledge through the ages. Each theory, no matter how outlandish, finds fragments of evidence that seem to fit. Coconut fiber carbon dated to centuries before European colonization. Parchment fragments brought up from deep within the pit. Bits of metal, links of chain, traces of mercury and gold. And yet, no definitive discovery has ever been made. Every clue seems to lead deeper into confusion, as if the island itself were rewriting its story with each generation. In the quiet of night, Oak Island feels alive in a way few places do. The wind moves through the pines like a whispering voice, and the tide laps gently against the rocky shore. For those who've stood there, shovel in hand, the sense of being watched, by time, by fate, by the island's unseen will, is almost tangible. The pit seems less like a man-made construction and more like a living labyrinth, a breathing entity that defends its secret not with walls, but with patience. In the modern era, technology has advanced, but the island remains stubborn. Ground-penetrating radar, sonar imaging, borehole drilling, all have been used, and still the truth lies buried beyond reach. Each discovery brings more questions. Strange stone tunnels, buried artifacts, wooden platforms that appear impossibly deep. Some experts suggest the money pit may have collapsed long ago, its treasures scattered or destroyed. Yet others believe the true chamber lies untouched, hidden beyond the known tunnels in a pocket of earth untouched since the day it was sealed. There is a melancholy beauty to the story of Oak Island. It is a tale of obsession, of human determination clashing against the quiet cunning of nature and time. It is also a mirror of our own endless search for meaning, the hope that beneath every mystery lies revelation. that persistence will one day yield understanding. And perhaps that is why the legend endures. Even as years pass and excavations fail, the dream remains alive. The island has become less about gold and more about the mystery itself, a riddle that has outlasted those who sought to solve it. As the sun sets over Mahone Bay, the water glows gold and violet. The island lies still, its pines black silhouettes against the fading light. Somewhere beneath its soil, deep beyond reach, lies something, whether treasure, tomb, or trick of history, that has whispered to generations. It does not need to be found to remain powerful. The not knowing is what gives it life. The money pit, in its endless silence, speaks to the part of humanity that cannot let go of curiosity, that cannot stop digging, even when the earth itself warns us to turn back. So Oak Island keeps its secret. Perhaps it always will. But in the long quiet of the night, as the waves brush the shore and the stars rise over the Atlantic, one can almost imagine the builders, centuries or millennia ago, sealing the final stone, stepping back and smiling. They must have known what they were creating, not just a vault of treasure, but a mystery that would outlast empires, one that would echo across time as softly and persistently as the sea itself. Far from the windswept coasts and shifting sands of other mysteries, there is a place that seems to belong neither to the earth nor to the imagination, a vast, silent region of sky where ships, planes, and people vanish without a trace. The world knows it as the Bermuda Triangle, a stretch of ocean bounded loosely by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. To sailors and pilots, it is both an ordinary expanse of water and an extraordinary symbol of the unknown. Over the past century, it has swallowed hundreds of vessels, from mighty Navy bombers to small private yachts, leaving behind only fragments, radio static, and questions that echo through time. In the stillness of night, the Atlantic rolls dark and endless there, indifferent to the human lives that have passed through and disappeared. The legend began in earnest in the mid-20th century, when reports of unexplained vanishings began to capture the public imagination. One of the most famous cases was that of Flight 19, a squadron of 5 U.S. Navy Avenger bombers that vanished in December 1945 during a routine training mission. The pilots, disoriented and increasingly desperate, radioed confused reports of malfunctioning compasses and a sea that looked wrong. Their last words were haunting. "Everything looks strange, the ocean doesn't look right." A search plane sent to rescue them vanished as well. Not a trace of wreckage was ever found. From that moment, the Bermuda Triangle became a name that lived in whispers and warning signs, a place where the normal laws of nature seemed to dissolve. But the mystery stretches far beyond that single incident. Ships like the USS Cyclops, a massive naval collier carrying over 300 men, vanished in 1918 without distress signal or debris. Theories range from sudden storms to sabotage, yet none explained how a vessel of that size could disappear so completely. Later, in 1963, the Marine Sulphur Queen, a 500-foot tanker, vanished with all 39 crewmen aboard. No SOS, no wreckage, only the endless sea. Some spoke of magnetic anomalies, of compasses spinning wildly, of aircraft instruments failing without cause. Others suggested rogue waves, violent and unpredictable, rising from calm water with the strength to swallow ships whole. Scientists have searched for rational answers, and some they have found. The triangle lies in a region prone to violent weather shifts, tropical storms, microbursts, and swift-forming waterspouts that could destroy a vessel in minutes. Methane gas eruptions from the ocean floor could, in theory, reduce the water's density, causing ships to sink rapidly without a trace. Powerful ocean currents like the Gulf Stream could then carry away all evidence. Magnetic variations near the area might explain compass failures. These are the tools of reason, sharp and reassuring. And yet, something about the Bermuda Triangle refuses to be neatly contained by reason alone. There are stories that defy easy explanation. Aircraft disappearing from radar without distress. Sailors reporting sudden fogs that glow with unnatural light. compasses swinging like pendulums before stabilizing again miles away. Some pilots claim to have flown through what felt like tunnels of cloud that bent space and time, emerging hours later in unexpected locations, their clocks lagging behind the world outside. It is easy to dismiss these as exaggerations, yet they persist with eerie consistency. Beyond the science and skepticism lies something more primal: humanity's ancient fear of the sea. The ocean has always been a mirror for the unknown, a place of depth, power, and silence. In the Triangle, that fear feels amplified. The horizon looks deceptively calm, the waves gently luminous at night, phosphorescence shimmering beneath the surface like the glimmer of unseen movement. For those who cross it, there's always a moment when they glance at the compass, at the radar, at the endless stretch of water, and feel a flicker of doubt. The Bermuda Triangle has drawn poets and scientists, mystics and skeptics alike. Some claim it hides remnants of Atlantis, a lost civilization whose technology still pulses beneath the waves, creating magnetic distortions that interfere with modern instruments. Others speak of time slips, of natural gateways that momentarily blur the boundary between dimensions. A few suggest extraterrestrial involvement, citing reports of strange lights and unidentified craft seen near disappearance zones. These theories, while fanciful, point toward a deeper human truth. We cannot bear a mystery that feels so vast, so utterly beyond our control, without trying to give it meaning. For decades, investigations have come and gone, each claiming to close the case, yet none ever fully do. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration states plainly that there is nothing statistically unusual about the Triangle compared to other heavily traveled parts of the ocean. And yet, we remember its name. We do not speak of the Pacific Anomaly or the Indian Ocean Gap. Only the Bermuda Triangle endures in collective memory, as if its mystery were less about statistics and more about the shape it holds in the imagination. A triangle drawn between fear, curiosity, and wonder. There is something poetic about its persistence. Each generation reinterprets it in the light of new technology and new myth. For the Victorians, it was a place of supernatural wrath. For mid-century writers, a rift in the laws of physics. For modern dreamers, a symbol of the world's remaining unknowns. It is not merely a region on a map. It is an idea, a metaphor for the places within and beyond us that cannot be fully measured. Imagine sailing through it at night. The stars blur slightly in the humid air. The ocean stretches black and endless, the horizon indistinct. A light wind touches the sails, and somewhere far below, unseen currents move like great serpents through the dark. The compass needle wavers, rights itself, wavers again. There is no sound but the creak of wood and the rhythm of the waves. In that moment, the triangle feels less like a danger zone and more like a threshold between certainty and mystery, between what we think we know and what still waits to be discovered. Perhaps that is the true secret of the Bermuda Triangle. It is not a place of monsters or malevolent forces, but a reminder of humility. The world, for all our maps and measurements, still holds corners that resist explanation. The triangle endures because it speaks to the part of us that longs for mystery, even as we chase understanding. It whispers that the unknown is not an error to be corrected, but an essential part of the human story. And so, beneath the calm waves and soft winds, the Bermuda Triangle keeps its silent watch. The ships pass, the planes fly overhead, and somewhere in the deep blue, the ocean hides its memories. There may be no curse, no portal, no secret city beneath the sea, only the vast, unfathomable beauty of a world that does not yield all its truths. Still, as night falls and compasses spin, the mind cannot help but wonder, what if just once those who vanished did not sink or crash, but crossed quietly into another world, one that lies forever just beyond the edge of our knowing? On a remote stretch of land where the Andes meet the Pacific, a city of stone rises from the mist like a dream half remembered. Machu Picchu, perched high above the Urubamba River in Peru, is a monument to human ingenuity, devotion, and mystery. Discovered in 1911 by Hiram Bingham, it quickly captivated the world, not merely as a ruin, but as a place that seemed suspended in time, perfectly preserved and inexplicably positioned. Unlike many other Incan sites, Machu Picchu was hidden from the Spanish conquistadors, leaving its terraces, temples, and stone pathways untouched by invaders. Yet despite centuries of study, scholars continue to puzzle over its purpose, its construction methods, and the intentions of the people who built it. The city spreads across steep, terraced hillsides, its stones fitted together with astonishing precision. The technique, known as ashlar masonry, involves carving granite blocks to fit so tightly that not even a knife blade can slip between them. No mortar was used, yet the walls have withstood earthquakes, landslides, and the passage of centuries. Some stones weigh dozens of tons, and yet they were cut, moved, and placed with a level of skill that challenges modern understanding. The sheer effort required to create such perfection at such an altitude, where oxygen is thin and weather unpredictable, speaks to the extraordinary organization and vision of the builders. Machu Picchu was more than a city. It was a complex of sacred and practical spaces. The Intihuatana, a carved rock thought to function as an astronomical clock or ritual sundial, aligns precisely with the solstices, casting shadows that mark the movement of the sun across the sky. The Temple of the Sun is a semicircular sanctuary built to capture the first rays of the winter solstice, reflecting the Incan reverence for celestial patterns. Terraces carved into the mountainside served dual purposes: agricultural innovation and soil stabilization. Every element of Machu Picchu appears intentional, designed to harmonize with the natural landscape while serving spiritual and practical needs simultaneously. Yet the deeper mystery lies in why Machu Picchu was built at all. Scholars debate its original purpose. Some suggest it was a royal estate for the Inca Pachacuti, a retreat of luxury and ceremony. Others propose it was a religious center, a place where priests and leaders communicated with the gods and studied the stars. Its remote location and difficult access suggest secrecy or sanctity. Perhaps it was both, a sanctuary removed from political conflict, where the natural world and divine order could be observed in quiet harmony. The construction techniques themselves raise questions. Moving massive granite blocks without wheels or draft animals, raising them up steep terraces, and positioning them with such precision required incredible ingenuity. The Incas may have used a combination of ropes, inclined planes, and sheer human effort. But even so, some stones, particularly at the Intihuatana, seem almost impossibly positioned. Scholars have suggested that spiritual belief played a role, that the labor of construction was not merely technical, but imbued with ritual significance, lending purpose and focus to extraordinary feats. The city's urban layout further deepens the enigma. Residential areas, ceremonial temples, agricultural terraces, and aqueducts are integrated seamlessly, reflecting a sophisticated understanding of both engineering and social organization. Water management, in particular, is a marvel. Channels carved into the rock direct rainwater away from the foundations while simultaneously irrigating crops. The balance between form and function suggests that the Incas were not merely building structures, but creating a living ecosystem in harmony with the mountains themselves. Beyond the technical mastery, Machu Picchu resonates with an almost mystical presence. The surrounding peaks, often shrouded in clouds, appear to cradle the city in a protective embrace. The Urubamba River snakes far below, and the play of light and shadow across the terraces changes with the seasons, as if the landscape itself were part of the design. Scholars and visitors alike describe a sense of awe, a feeling that the site was designed not only to be seen, but to be experienced, to touch the spirit as well as the senses. Archaeological study has revealed that Machu Picchu was a center of both daily life and ritual practice. Artifacts suggest the presence of elite inhabitants, religious ceremonies, and careful observation of celestial cycles. Yet much remains unknown. No written record from the site survive. The Incas left no explanatory texts, and Spanish chroniclers never discovered the city. Its purpose, the identities of all its inhabitants, and the full meaning of its sacred spaces remain shrouded in uncertainty. The discovery of Machu Picchu also raises profound questions about memory and loss. How many other cities, like it or grander, have been erased from history by conquest or nature? How much of human ingenuity has been buried, leaving only whispers and stones behind? Machu Picchu endures as a fragment of a civilization that achieved extraordinary harmony between architecture, environment, and spirituality, a reminder that knowledge can survive even when entire cultures vanish. Visiting Machu Picchu at dawn, when mist rolls over terraces and sunlight slowly illuminates temples, one cannot help but feel that time folds inward. The stones seem alive, the wind carries echoes of footsteps long gone, and the mountains themselves appear as guardians. It is a place that connects the past to the present in ways both tangible and ineffable, a reminder that human creativity and devotion can produce wonders that speak across centuries. In this quiet, the mysteries of Machu Picchu are not frustrating, they are inviting. They ask us not only to marvel at technical skill, but to consider the worldview, beliefs, and aspirations of a people long gone. Each terrace, each carved stone, each alignment with sun or star is a whisper of intent, a fragment of understanding that beckons us to wonder and to dream. It is not a site that demands answers. It offers them gently, in rhythms and patterns, in light and shadow, in silence as much as in stone. Machu Picchu, in its breathtaking isolation and elegance, reminds us that history is never entirely gone, and that mysteries endure not merely because they are hidden, but because they speak to something universal, the human desire to connect with the world, the cosmos, and the eternal. Its stones remain, unyielding and serene, inviting us to pause, to observe, and to listen. And if we are quiet enough, we may feel, if only faintly, the pulse of a civilization that continues to reach out across centuries, asking us to honor its brilliance and to wonder at the unknown. On the windswept plains of England, amidst rolling hills and ancient stone circles, there lies a mystery that continues to baffle archaeologists and historians alike. Stonehenge, the great prehistoric monument of Salisbury Plain, is more than a collection of standing stones. It is a riddle carved into the landscape, a song of stone that resonates across millennia. For centuries, scholars have studied its layout, its construction, and its astronomical alignments. Yet no single explanation fully accounts for its purpose or the methods by which it was built. The enormity of the stones, the precision with which they were arranged, and the effort required to transport them from distant quarries, all of it suggests a civilization with skills and vision that still astonish us today. The stones themselves are remarkable. The largest, known as sarsens, weigh up to 25 tons, while the smaller blue stones, which originate from the Preseli Hills of Wales more than 140 miles away, defy easy explanation for their transport. How are they moved over such distances without the wheel, without draft animals strong enough to carry them, and without machinery? Theories abound: logs and sledges, waterways, even ingenious leveraging systems. Yet none of these explanations fully capture the elegance of the monument, nor the precision of its alignment with celestial events such as the summer solstice sunrise and the winter solstice sunset. The stones themselves appear to have been carefully selected not only for size and shape, but for acoustic and visual qualities, as if the builders understood both the physics of sound and the rhythm of light. Stonehenge was not created in a single generation. Its construction spans centuries, beginning as early as 3100 BCE with earthworks and timber posts, evolving over time into the arrangement of massive stones that we see today. This gradual development hints at a society deeply connected to cycles, of seasons of sun and moon, of life and death. Each edition reflects evolving knowledge and perhaps spiritual belief, suggesting that Stonehenge was more than a ceremonial site. It was a living record of human understanding, a place where the rhythms of the cosmos were mirrored on Earth. The purpose of Stonehenge has been debated endlessly. Some theories propose it was a temple for sun worship, a place to honor the cycles of nature and ensure agricultural fertility. Others suggest it was a burial ground or a site of healing, given that human remains and traces of medicinal plants have been found nearby. Yet another theory posits it functioned as a prehistoric observatory, a device to mark solstices, eclipses, and lunar cycles with astonishing accuracy. Each theory adds a layer of meaning, but none can fully account for all the evidence, leaving the monument suspended between explanation and enigma. The logistics of construction remain equally mysterious. Moving and erecting stones weighing multiple tons required not only skill, but social organization and cooperation. Scholars speculate that hundreds of people may have worked together using ropes, wooden frameworks, and ingenious ramp systems. Some stones were dressed with remarkable precision, fitted together using mortise and tenon joints, a technique more commonly associated with carpentry than megalithic construction. The ingenuity of these methods, combined with the distance some stones traveled, points to a civilization with technical knowledge that often surprises modern engineers. There is also a poetic dimension to Stonehenge that transcends practical explanation. Its position on the landscape, in relation to surrounding hills, rivers, and other monuments, suggests a deep understanding of space and place. The monument aligns not only with celestial phenomena, but also with natural topography, integrating human creation into the larger environment. Standing within the circle, one senses a deliberate harmony, as if the builders sought to embed themselves into the rhythms of the world itself. The acoustics of Stonehenge add another layer of intrigue. Experiments have revealed that the arrangement of stones creates specific resonance patterns, amplifying sound and producing frequencies that can be felt as well as heard. Whether this was intentional or accidental remains unknown, but it hints at a sophisticated understanding of physical phenomena. Visitors have described a subtle vibration within the stones on certain days, an almost imperceptible hum that seems to awaken a connection between human and monument, past and present. Stonehenge also raises profound questions about memory, legacy, and human aspiration. The builders left no written record explaining their methods or intentions, yet the monument endures, speaking across millennia. It reminds us that human achievement is not measured solely in material terms, but in the enduring power of ideas and devotion. Stonehenge is a testament to a culture that sought meaning beyond the visible, that translated cosmic understanding into enduring stone, and that created a structure capable of inspiring wonder thousands of years later. Even in modern times, new discoveries continue to emerge. Archaeologists uncover nearby structures, burial sites, and ceremonial avenues that reveal Stonehenge as part of a vast ritual landscape. The interplay between these features suggests a society whose spiritual and social practices were complex, interconnected, and deeply entwined with the land. Each excavation adds context, but also deepens the mystery, reminding us that the monument we see is only a fragment of a far larger story. Visiting Stonehenge at sunrise, when the first light strikes the stones, one cannot help but feel transported. Shadows lengthen, the cool air hums softly, and the stones glow with a subtle warmth that seems to awaken ancient memory. It is a place of quiet awe, where the mind wanders between known history and conjecture, where each breath feels connected to a continuum stretching back thousands of years. Stonehenge is not merely a monument. It is a threshold, a dialogue between past and present, known and unknown, earth and sky. The enigma of Stonehenge lies not only in its construction or purpose, but in its ability to endure as a mystery that speaks to the imagination. It challenges us to consider the ingenuity and vision of a civilization long gone, to ponder their understanding of the cosmos, and to reflect on the human desire to leave a mark that transcends mortality. Each stone is a testament to ambition, knowledge, and devotion, and each unanswered question is a reminder of the vastness of what we have yet to comprehend. Stonehenge stands as a quiet sentinel over the Salisbury Plain, its massive stones etched against the sky. It embodies the intersection of science, spirituality, and art, a living puzzle that continues to captivate scholars and dreamers alike. And in its enduring silence, it teaches a lesson as profound as any discovery, that some mysteries are not puzzles to be solved, but experiences to be felt, understood, and revered. Far away from the stone circles of England and the high Andes of Peru, deep beneath the earth in the deserts of the American Southwest, lies one of the most enduring enigmas of human history, the Nazca lines of Peru. Stretching across the desolate plains of the Nazca Desert, these colossal geoglyphs depict animals, plants, and abstract patterns so vast that they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. Yet their purpose, their construction, and the knowledge required to create them remain a mystery. For centuries, scholars, adventurers, and dreamers have been captivated by these figures etched into the earth, wondering not only how they were made with such precision, but why an ancient civilization invested so much labor into images invisible from the ground. The lines were created by removing the top layer of reddish-brown, iron oxide-coated pebbles, revealing lighter-colored earth beneath. Simple as the technique seems, the results are staggering. The figures range from hummingbirds, monkeys, and spiders to geometric shapes and spirals stretching hundreds of meters across the plain. The sheer scale is mind-boggling. Some of the longest lines extend over 10 miles, perfectly straight despite the uneven terrain. There are hundreds of individual figures, each created with meticulous planning and executed with such accuracy that they align with remarkable geometric precision. The effort required to produce them is a testament to both ingenuity and communal coordination. Theories about their purpose abound. Many researchers suggest that the lines served astronomical functions. Some of the straight lines align with solstices or with the rising and setting points of specific stars. Others propose they functioned as ceremonial pathways, walked by priests or ritual participants in processions honoring the gods or the natural world. Still others believe the figures were offerings to deities, perhaps meant to be seen by celestial beings. Yet, despite decades of research, no theory fully accounts for the diversity, scale, and complexity of the geoglyphs. Some of the more striking images, the hummingbird, the monkey, the condor, appear impossibly precise given the limited tools available to the Nazca people. There are no aerial views to guide their hands, no compasses or modern surveying equipment. Yet these enormous figures maintain proportion and symmetry across vast distances, suggesting a sophisticated understanding of geometry, measurement, and scaling. How the Nazca achieved this remains one of the greatest unsolved puzzles in archaeology. The desert itself adds to the enigma. The arid, windless climate has preserved the lines for over 1,000 years. Yet the harshness of the environment would have made construction challenging. Organizing labor, maintaining precise alignment, and ensuring that the designs remained undisturbed during creation would have required careful planning and dedication. The Nazca lines are thus not merely artistic expressions. They are monuments to social coordination, ritual, and possibly an advanced comprehension of the landscape and cosmos. The patterns also suggest symbolic and spiritual significance. Many scholars believe they reflect a cosmology deeply connected to water and fertility. The desert where the lines sit was arid even in ancient times, and evidence of aqueducts, underground channels, and ritual sites indicates that the Nazca people were concerned with harnessing and venerating water. Some researchers interpret the geoglyphs as prayers or offerings to deities to ensure rainfall and agricultural abundance, with a monumental scale meant to attract the attention of the heavens. Despite centuries of study, questions multiply rather than resolve. Why so many straight lines that stretch for miles? Why depict animals at scales incomprehensible from the ground? Were they meant to be seen by deities above? Or did the lines serve as a form of communal expression that reinforced social cohesion and religious devotion? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere in between. The Nazca lines may have been simultaneously ceremonial, spiritual, and astronomical, a fusion of practicality and belief. The impact of the Nazca lines on the imagination cannot be overstated. Their discovery in the 20th century, largely through aerial surveys, revealed a world that was invisible to those walking the plains, a reminder that perspective can alter perception. The lines challenge our understanding of the capabilities of ancient civilizations, reminding us that human creativity and ingenuity have always transcended apparent limitations. Today, the Nazca lines continue to fascinate and inspire. Drones and satellites capture their full scope, but they remain fundamentally mysterious. Every straight line, every perfectly proportioned condor, every spiral and trapezoid is a message etched into the earth, whispering across centuries. They speak of a people who engaged with their environment in ways that were simultaneously artistic, spiritual, and scientific, leaving behind a testament to the enduring human desire to communicate with the unseen. As the desert sun sets, casting long shadows across the plains, the lines seem to shift and come alive. The figures stretch and bend with the fading light, and the wind stirs the dust, revealing faint outlines of patterns previously unnoticed. It is a place that humbles the imagination, reminding us of the quiet, persistent ingenuity of the Nazca civilization and the enduring mysteries of human history. The Nazca lines endure as a bridge between the past and the present, between human ambition and the ineffable mysteries of the natural world. They are at once tangible and elusive, a record of knowledge and belief, yet still a riddle without a definitive answer. In the long quiet of the desert, these lines invite reflection, curiosity, and wonder, a reminder that some human achievements are meant not only to endure, but to remain partly inscrutable, challenging each generation to look beyond the obvious and contemplate the extraordinary. High above the deserts of Egypt, the plains of England, the Andes of South America, and the vast oceans where ships vanish, there exists a mystery that has captured the human imagination for over a century. A puzzle written not in stone or sand, but in human observation itself. The Voynich manuscript, an enigmatic codex of delicate vellum pages, strange glyphs, and illustrations that defy interpretation, remains perhaps the most perplexing artifact in the history of written language. Its origins are unknown, its purpose undeciphered, and the script in which it is written has resisted every attempt at translation. For scholars, cryptographers, and dreamers alike, it is a window into a world that seems to exist just beyond the reach of reason, where the familiar rules of language, science, and art appear suspended in uncertainty. The manuscript is named after Wilfred Voynich, a Polish book dealer who purchased it in 1912, though its history stretches back further, likely to the early 15th century. Its pages are filled with an alphabet that appears carefully structured, yet completely unlike any known language. The text flows in regular, repeated patterns, suggesting grammar and syntax, but the words themselves remain meaningless to modern readers. Some cryptographers have speculated that it is an elaborate hoax, a cipher designed to appear as writing without actually conveying content. Yet statistical analyses reveal that the patterns resemble those of natural language, making simple forgery seem unlikely. Beyond the text, the manuscript contains illustrations that are as confounding as the script. Strange plants grow in forms that do not exist in nature, often combining characteristics from multiple species. Astrological diagrams, baths, and interconnected tubes fill the margins, suggesting medical, cosmological, or alchemical knowledge. Women appear to inhabit these curious landscapes, sometimes interacting with odd contraptions, sometimes bathing in pools of mysterious liquids. The illustrations are precise, deliberate, yet entirely foreign, leaving viewers with a sense of familiarity disrupted by the utterly alien. Attempts to decode the manuscript have spanned decades. During both World Wars, cryptographers from England and the United States examined it, searching for hidden messages, secret codes, or military intelligence. Mathematicians, linguists, and computer scientists have all analyzed its structure using modern techniques. Yet none have definitively deciphered a single passage. Some theories suggest it may be a constructed language, an early attempt at encryption, or even a lost human language whose traces vanished from history. Others propose more exotic ideas, that it contains knowledge from an unknown culture, a civilization lost to time, or perhaps even a personal language created by a single individual for reasons we cannot comprehend. The manuscript's physical construction adds to the enigma. The pages are made of high-quality vellum, and the ink appears to be from the same period, resisting decay for centuries. Radiocarbon dating places it firmly in the early 1400s, predating modern cryptography and advanced linguistic theory. Its preservation suggests deliberate care, an intention that whoever made it valued its content, or at least wanted others to perceive it as valuable. This care, combined with the impossible-to-translate text, creates a tension between reality and mystery that continues to captivate. Some researchers have turned to computational analysis, applying algorithms and artificial intelligence to detect hidden patterns or statistical signatures. These studies suggest the text is neither random nor meaningless. Letter frequencies, word repetitions, and line structures mimic those found in natural languages. Yet, despite these tantalizing hints, no coherent translation has emerged. The Voynich manuscript remains a code without a key, a riddle without a solution. Equally fascinating are the botanical and astronomical diagrams. Some plants appear familiar, others utterly alien. Some stars align with known constellations, while others occupy positions that have no counterpart in our sky. The manuscript seems to exist in a parallel world, blending the recognizable with the fantastical, science with imagination. It is at once a medical manual, a botanical guide, and a celestial chart, yet none of its illustrations match the natural world perfectly, leaving the viewer suspended between comprehension and wonder. The human fascination with the Voynich manuscript lies not just in its unreadable script, but in the promise of discovery it embodies. It represents the unknown in its purest form, a carefully crafted artifact that invites inquiry yet defies closure. Scholars can measure, analyze, and theorize, but the manuscript resists certainty. It reminds us that knowledge is not always accessible, that some truths may exist beyond the grasp of reason, waiting silently for a mind capable of unlocking them. In the quiet of a dimly lit library, one can almost imagine the original scribe at work. Ink flows onto vellum. Glyphs form in a deliberate pattern. Illustrations emerge from imagination constrained by observation. Who was this person? Were they a scholar, an artist, a mystic, or perhaps all three? What knowledge did they intend to preserve, and who was meant to understand it? These questions hover in the air, unanswered, feeding the human desire to explore, decode, and comprehend. Even modern technology, from multispectral imaging to AI pattern recognition, has not solved the puzzle entirely. Tiny marginalia, subtle shading, and hidden layers suggest that secrets may lie beyond the obvious, waiting to be revealed by future generations. Every new analysis offers the hope of progress, but also reinforces the manuscript's fundamental elusiveness. Its endurance through centuries is a testament to both the skill of its creator and the human obsession with the unknowable. The Voynich manuscript, in its delicate beauty and impenetrable language, embodies the tension between human curiosity and the limits of comprehension. It is both artifact and enigma, fact and dream, familiar and utterly alien. In a world increasingly dominated by certainty, it stands as a quiet reminder that some mysteries are meant to endure, that some knowledge is meant to be pursued not only with reason, but with imagination, patience, and wonder. As night falls, one can picture the manuscript open on a desk, candlelight flickering across the vellum. The glyphs seem to shimmer in the soft glow, and the fantastical plants and stars whisper across time. It is a place where the mind can wander freely between history and possibility, known and unknown. And in that quiet, the Voynich manuscript continues to captivate, to challenge, and to inspire, a testament to humanity's enduring fascination with the mysteries that refuse to be solved. As the night deepens, the voice softens. We have traveled far together, through ruins and relics, through storms of snow and deserts of silence. Now, as the final moments of this journey arrive, we are asked to rest not only our bodies, but our questions too. Every story we have wandered through tonight has left a small trace, like footprints in drifting sand. Some marks are sharp, others fade into the breeze, but all lead to the same horizon, the endless wonder of not knowing. The mysteries of history are not just puzzles waiting to be solved. They are mirrors held up to our own desire to understand, to give shape to the unexplainable. When scientists examine an artifact, or when dreamers stare up at constellations once worshipped by ancient eyes, they are part of the same quiet ritual, the pursuit of meaning in a universe that keeps its secrets close. The calm realization comes that mystery does not resist us out of cruelty. It endures because it must. If everything were known, the world would lose its breath, its rhythm, its poetry. You can imagine the sands of Giza cooling under the moonlight, the same stars glinting on the metal gears of the Antikythera mechanism beneath the sea. Somewhere, a researcher still stares at the Voynich manuscript, tracing letters that refuse to form words. Somewhere else, the wind hums softly across a mountain pass in the Urals, where footprints long vanished, once told a story no one could finish. The same hum might echo faintly through your own room now, a memory of curiosity, of the gentle ache to understand. What connects all these scenes is not proof or theory, but presence. Each mystery, whether carved in stone or whispered through time, reminds us that we belong to something vaster than comprehension. We are part of the same current that once carried ships toward imagined golden cities, the same breath that turned ancient astronomers' eyes to the heavens. Every unanswered question is a reminder that life itself is an unsolved story, a constellation of wonders flickering quietly in the dark. The voice slows, as if speaking from a place between dream and waking. There is no need to chase the answers anymore. Let them drift like leaves on the surface of sleep. Let the pyramids rest in the desert silence. The maps roll themselves back into the dark drawers of time, and the hum of unseen forces settle into stillness. The mysteries will remain, patient and eternal, waiting for another listener, another dreamer, another night. Now, as your eyes grow heavier, imagine yourself among the stars, carried on the same winds that once guided sailors and storytellers alike. Each light above is a question, and each question a comfort. The universe does not hurry to reveal itself. It simply is. And in that calm, infinite being, we too can rest. So breathe deeply. Let the centuries fall away. The unknown is not something to fear, but something to sleep beside, a quiet companion in the long night of existence. The stories remain open, as soft and endless as the sky, and their silence speaks the only truth that matters, that wonder is enough. And somewhere, far beyond history, far beyond science, the universe keeps whispering back in return.